fallout, smoke, women crying for their sons because their sons are not, Romans killing riotous groups that are rising up. Free Judea, free our people, autonomy for Israel. You had Herod, an Edomite, and his dynasty. Herod's ruling, killing any potential threat, any potential Messiah. Then you had the Pharisees and the Sadducees that we learn from Josephus are not Jews by birth. No.
Brothers and sisters, they are there. We are not lost. We are scattered. We are original Hebrew.
Let's go! All praises be to the Most High God. Yeah, I say it.
I was opportune to meet my grandparents, whom from childhood had always made us to understand that we are one of the lost tribes of Israel. Okay. So from my grandmother.
Right. Now look at these. Yeah, I'm telling you, I gotta show y'all. A picture speaks 1,000 words. Just look for yourself. And this is the creme de la creme. All praises be to the Most High, y'all. Everything we've been through, y'all, the Most High is going to retribute it on all the nations that have had a hand in the oppression of his apple, the apple of his eye, his chosen people, his beloved, his fervent lover, his only begotten. They're going to have their part in the lake of fire. You see them tormented by some kind of creature. I don't even know what that even is, y'all. Judgment in chains. He that led into captivity shall go into captivity. All praise to the Most High, y'all. It said, thou that dwells in the clefts of the rock. Whoa. I know a lot of y'all know about the Caucasus Mountains. Let's just let the words speak. Let's go to verse 4. Though you exalt yourself as the eagle, and though you set thy nest among the stars. What's up, Zion Dynasty? This is your favorite dreaded Israelite, the man, the myth, and the legend, Mr. JB Zion. Y'all, show me some love, and welcome back to the channel, family. Welcome back to Zion Dynasty, where yours truly, I'm back in the fringed up flesh, about to hit y'all with this haymaker of legend, another bang. All glory, honor, dominion, and power to the Most High, the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai. So y'all, welcome back to the channel. Y'all go ahead and smash that like button, share this with as many people as you know, and we're gonna jump into it, family. I have not dealt with this. A lot of y'all have been emailing me, asking me a lot about end time prophecy. A lot of y'all have been like, yo, JB, what's going on in the news? What about China? What about Russia? I have done some previous videos, but that's been, I don't know, about 50 videos ago. So I thought this would be appropriate to go through their history, go through all of the geopolitical nature of the other nations and how they correlate to end time prophecy, explain Russia, explain Gog, Magog, go into detail concerning Moab's link to China today, talk about that whole China rumor of war about China and America and that kind of thing. I've been hearing that a lot lately. A lot of Israelites have been dealing with that as well. So y'all go ahead and subscribe. Also, if you want to donate to the channel and put that information up for you guys. So we're going to deal with it, family. So first, I'm going to take you guys through the history of eschatology as it relates to Israel. Now, y'all, your boy has been going through a lot lately. Y'all probably seen me getting bombarded. Berean TV, they did an 8-hour live. It's just a lot been going on. And I just got to continue this work, family. And I just want to encourage each and every one of y'all that are on this walk. It can be lonely, family. It can be where it feels like everything's against you, but you just keep going, right? You might not feel it sometimes. You might feel like everything's against you and that you don't have that last ounce of strength to continue, but allow the Most High to fight for you. Allow the Most High to encourage you. Allow the Most High to remind you that he sees you, right? He sees everything that you're going through. He knows that this walk is not easy. A lot of y'all might be the only ones in your family that know this history, that know the Bible prophecy, that know we're Israelite, and that can be very discouraging at times, family. That's why I've always promoted unity And even with that, I'm finding out that Satan is smarter than that. Satan is saying, I ain't gonna even let you try to accomplish that, because even when you try to do it, it just seems like there's a spirit in our community in terms of that unity that makes it impossible, family. I'm not gonna say impossible because I believe the Most High, but it can be lonely, family. You just gotta keep grinding, you gotta keep pushing. So we're gonna go into eschatology a little bit, and we're gonna explain the role of Israel, family. Now this is big. Y'all probably heard this on previous lessons. The role of Israel is to be the light unto all nations, right? To be the example, to be God, the Most High Yah's ambassador in the earth realm, that when the other nations see this group of people, they showed them by the way that they live, the way that they honor the Most High, the way they honor the land, and the way they love one another was supposed to be an example of how all the other nations should strive to operate in, right? So when you look at Israel, we see in Deuteronomy 7 verse 6 that the will of the Most High Yah was to set Israel above all nations. So Israel is so important to end time prophecy. And I'm not necessarily talking about Joe Blow that says he's an Israelite, or some of the Khazars that say they're Israelites and they're not, right? I'm not saying a racial claim, because there are some fairer skinned people that are linked to ancient Israel, right? So it's not always about pigmentation. Y'all have to keep that in mind. It's about a lineage that the Most High is following, right? So Israel's role is to be an example unto all nations. So when you watch how Israel is being treated in the end of days,
you see what the Israelite talking about. Well, you know, Israel done away with, you know, whosoever will, let them come.
Hey, yo, y'all Israel now. Oh, y'all black folks, oh, y'all Jews, we was kings. Oh, y'all think y'all is Jews now, you Jewish?
And legalism and, yeah, these Israelites trying to turn us back to the law of Moses. And yeah, neither Jew nor Greek, world without end, that don't matter. Just talking about whosoever will call upon the name of Christ will be saved. For God so loved the world. Well, JB, we ain't saying he didn't came, we just saying he was a rainbow. He came for all colors. Don't nobody really know what he looked like.
They saying what you can't use Deuteronomy 28.
even though it says we're gonna go into a country as swift as the eagle flies.
Oh no, you can't use that.
Even though it says we're gonna have a yoke of iron around our neck, you can't use that. That's been fulfilled. Even though it says you're gonna go into slavery again on slave cargo ships, oh, that's already been fulfilled. And I'm like, Negro, you can start to see what is going on in terms of the day of the Most High Yah, his vengeance coming. Are we close? Are we close to the kingdom? You gotta watch Israel, right? So knowing that our people, so-called blacks, the two continents slapped together like a bologna sandwich, are in fact the descendants of the biblical Israelites, based on Harvard, you already know, based on the Jewish Diaspora Encyclopedia, based in Cambridge. You already seen the Cambridge Verified Oral Tradition of the Yoruba, the Igbo's Oral Tradition, but above all of the science, the E1B1A, the archaeology, above all of that, the very word of the Most High Yah in Deuteronomy 28 said that Israel in the last days, they will go into slavery on slave cargo ships. We know, family, that some of our people were already over here. That's why Deuteronomy 28 verses 15 through 68 goes into great detail on what Israel will go through. They will be a stranger in their own land. We see that as a part of the curses. So that refers to all the Israelites in the diaspora, some that were already in the Americas and that kind of thing. So they will be a stranger in their own land, right? That appeals to these natives. Also, the labor of their field, all of their hard work during the transatlantic period, during the chattel slavery period, all of that work our ancestors put in, we didn't get 2 dimes to rub together, right? We saw that whole 40 acres and a mule thing never happened. Dr. King's whole push was to get us that check that was promised to our people, those reparations, which we still have not received, family. So when you go through the curses of Deuteronomy 28, when you couple that with Joel chapter 3 about Israel being scattered to the 4 corners of the earth, only one group of people fit the totality of the prophecies, the history, the archaeology, the oral tradition. Only one group of people fit the fullness of what the Most High prophesied would be the state of Israel. Couple that we already know they would have been a dark-skinned people. We already know, and I'm not going to go through all those precepts, but we know that ancient Israel would have been a dark brown skinned people, anywhere from light brown to dark brown skin. Black, nobody's the color of my beard, right? All of our so-called people are really dark brown people. So black is just a byword and a proverb, right? So we know that Israel is our people, and that our people are meant to be a light unto all people, family. We're meant to, by our actions, by the way we treat one another, show the nations how to do it, right? That's why I push so hard. A lot of y'all have seen the Ephraim lessons, right? Joseph led 10 of the 12 tribes. The whole purpose of Zion dynasty is to unite the 12 tribes. But to do that, you have to go where the sheep are. And if 10 of them are with Joseph that nobody's talking about, that's why we have to know that lineage today, which the majority of our people will be the 10 out of the 12 tribes, right? So our people coming together, our people loving one another, our people treating each other the way the Most High would desire, our people honoring the land, our people resting on the land and allowing the land to breathe with the Sabbath, with the year of Jubilee. All the law and the prophets and the Torah was how our people were supposed to show the image of the invisible God to a dying world, right? So if we don't do it, family, if we don't lead by example, if we don't treat each other with dignity and courtesy, that's the purpose of Israel. It's not about saying, oh, we better than everybody else. Yeshua told us that the chiefest among us should be servants, right? So I challenge Israel. Now let's deal with these other nations. Now we know that Israel's big enemy would be the spirit of Esau. Now watch this now. I said the spirit for a reason. Because not all of our people have the same agenda, y'all. Some of our people really don't want our people to unify. Some of our people don't really want Israel to love each other like a family and treat each other like that's your son, or treat each other like that's your father, like that's your cousin, like that's your mother, like that's your daughter, right? There's a spirit of that called Babylon. Now, I say it's a spirit because it's bigger than just Edomites today, which most of them are the pale skin extension of the Europeans today. A lot of them descend biologically from ancient Edom, but it's bigger than black or white. It's bigger than the flesh, family. Esau represents the last ruling type of government to exist before the coming of Yeshua. We see that in the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 6, verses 6 through 9, that it says, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that follows. That means the new world order, the new world, pertains to Jacob, Joseph, the 12 tribes being restored, unified, and the way their culture operates is gonna be what has next, family. Esau ain't coming back. I gotta tell y'all, but it's bigger than just our people. We got next. We love that. We got next, y'all. Y'all stay encouraged. This present affliction that you're going through has nothing in comparison to be able to compare to the glory that the Most High is going to reveal in the world to come. These present tribulations, all the opposition that we feel, our people getting gunned down on the streets, our people not having clean drinking water, it doesn't compare to the glory of the Most High Yah that He's going to shower our people. Take the least of these, take the first and make them the last, and the last and make them first. Take the tail and make it the head. Nothing can compare to when the Most High shows His love and commands the nations. I love the way David said, He prepares a table before us in the presence of our enemies. The nations are going to have to say, we see that in Revelation 2:9. We see that in Revelation 3:9, that the nations are going to have to come and let you know that the Most High has loved you. We see that, family. So it's not about just black or white, family. A lot of us take that bitterness and we take that hurt, we take that mental illness, we take that feeling like we're nobody, and we regurgitate it towards others as vindication for our plight and our struggle. But understand, our people had to suffer because the covenant that was made with our forefathers, we broke it, right? So it was the Most High doing these things. So Esau versus Jacob is this Jacob that would give birth to Solomon, the builder of the temple, ruling the world in righteousness, this loving system of family, this Ubuntu, I am because we are, versus Esau, the spirit of that system, which is this critical race theory-based society of haves and have-nots. Of this, one person has to be at the bottom, one person has to be privileged. We have to have the construct of race. We have to create it where there's people that don't get the job versus those that are able to get the job. That whole cutthroat dog-eat-dog rat race mindset that has even affected our people, we have to come ye out of her, my people. So Esau's spirit, that system of Babylon, would rule through that descendant of those people, right? just like the spirit of love and family would come back through our people being restored, there's going to be this battle, family, between those two ideological frameworks, one rooted in selfishness. I can create a fast food chain at the expense of my brother's health. And the other one is family and honoring the land, even allowing the land to rest, coming together, treating each other the way you would want to be treated. That is Jacob and Esau, family. So right now we see the fall of the European power construct, which is the spirit of Esau through his descendants ruling this earth and robbing Africa blind, putting smallpox in the blankets of our native brethren, right? To be able to look out for yourself. We're seeing that system come to an end, family, as Israel is waiting.
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Persian, meaning that Rome, Edom, America, that's going to be the last one standing. Meaning that Rome, Edom, America, that's going to be the last one standing. Meaning that Rome, Edom, America, that's going to be the last one standing.
As Israel is waking up to the identity of who we are as the Most High's chosen and turning back to the indigenous way of life, honoring the land, right? Honoring the Shabbat, loving one another, dressing in modesty, going back to your fringes, going natural. We're seeing this push for our people being restored in their love. Now let's deal with these nations. I had to set that up, family. Now, these nations, the European NATO power construct, rules through Christianity. Christianity is the ideological framework that was created as that beast system, that beast mindset that they would use to rule the nations. Now we know it's almost like white rice versus brown rice. They shucked the very life of Yeshua and created Jesus, this Greco-Roman rendition. We know that during the Council of Nicaea. I did a lesson on that. So they created this Roman religion, Esau being the father of the Romans. We see that with Zepho, his grandson, that migrated to Chittim and became a great war hero in the book of Jasher. Chapter 30, chapter 60, and chapter 90 of book of Jasher goes into that detail, right? So the European Chittim region was founded, Macedonia, all of that was founded by Zepho, founded by Esau's grandson, and they came together using Christianity. Now the deep part is, they swapped our history. Now this started during the time of John Hyrcanus. During John Hyrcanus' time, and you read about this in the book of Maccabees. Also, I'm gonna do that C4 giveaway this coming up Shabbat, family. But we see during the time of Maccabees that John Hyrcanus, what he did was made all those Edomites keep Torah. He said, y'all are gonna keep the covenant, the commandments of our God as he restores us, as we rule in the earth. Y'all are gonna have to honor the law, statutes, and commandments of the true and the living creator, Iyeh Asher Iyeh. Now, let's watch this. When he did that, over time, these Edomites gained high position of status within Judea. And their kinsmen that were in Europe through Zepho's descendants. So you had Edomites, Amalek in the land, as well as those in the Roman Empire. They elevated their own people to positions of rulership. This is why Herod the Edomite was king of Judea. This is why Josephus in his book, The Antiquities, and Josephus' work in Antiquities, as well as the book of the Wars, he goes into detail that these Pharisees and Sadducees were not Jews by birth, no, but they were Edomites, right? So through John Hyrcanus, which is not, I'm not bashing what he did, because that's the purpose of Israel. Our culture is meant to be kept by the other nations, by us showing the example, right? We see this is gonna happen in the kingdom. So John Hyrcanus makes Amalek keep the commandments, and Edom comes in through the Roman Empire around 65 BC, and they start taking their own people and putting them in positions of power. And the people that were rebelling, the Sakari, the freedom fighters, the Zealots, the Essenes, the Nazarenes, these were your group of Israelites by blood, Negroes that were fighting the Roman construct, right? They were fighting against white supremacy. They were trying to overthrow the Roman government. You had a lot of different Israelites that were crucified by the Romans in this period. So many scholars that go into that history, but you see a lot of them being crucified. Crucifixion was the method of the Romans. So over time, these Edomites, through gaining a foothold through Judah, would acquire our identity, swapped with us, and sent us into slavery. And right now, the war in the Middle East is those Edomite Jews from Europe, right? Specifically Germanic people, a lot of Ukrainian influence, Black Sea, Caspian Sea, Turkish, Khazarian, North European ethnic groups that converted to this religion have now gained the territory of the state of Israel under the Jewish state that we know today. Now, while this is going on, the Most High is getting ready to judge these nations. Now, we're going to walk this thing through the history. Now, the Bible tells us about Armageddon, the war of Armageddon, the valley of decision. Oh, decision to decision in the valley, right? Where the Most High would plead with the nations for his people Israel, because the Greeks have sold his people. We see this in Joel chapter 3, that even those Tyre, Zidon, those Phoenician, those African, Hamitic Africans assisted the Greeks in the transatlantic and scattering our people to the four corners of the earth. So while they were doing that, the Most High says, okay, I'm gonna make Jerusalem a cup of trembling. And I don't know if y'all saw this. I might put the clip in. Hopefully I can get this up in time. But just the other day, there was a bombing from Palestine that occurred near Jerusalem, right? Now, Jerusalem has this bioelectric dome force field that redirects any missile. I'm telling y'all, the Jewish people are funded by the beast. When you look at America, NATO, the 10 toes, those 10 non-communist European countries that founded the European Union. So the European Union is that final beast ruling through Christianity, and they're aiding their people in the land that have swapped our identity, going all the way back to the time of Maccabees. They learned about Torah and eventually swapped with us. They are funded by the United States and by Europe, right? Now, let me explain a little bit about that history. Now, the Jewish Agency is an American organization that determines who is qualified to go into the state of Israel. It is not a Jewish-run organization. It is an American-owned, American-run organization. Why is this important to know? That means if they got your black behind in captivity over here, they're not gonna allow you to go back to that land. Why do we need to understand this? The Igbo, y'all check out that video with the Igbo chieftain, Remy Iona, peace and honor and blessings to the elder, sitting down and talking to the rabbi, Harry Rosenberg. They know that the customs of the Igbo, the Yoruba, these West Africans, these South Africans, these Bantu, these Niger Congo people groups, they know that the customs that they're keeping, they know they're the lost sheep of the house of Israel, but they cannot let that out. America's watching that because they know that if they leave, if they lose us, their entire system of capitalism, that critical race, theory-based society, like I told y'all, that is at war against Zion. Zion is that family, Ubuntu, I am because we are. They can't lose their slave demographic. That's why they're starting to make these robots and artificial intelligence and Lambda. Y'all check out some of those videos. That's why they're having to do that. Because a lot of our people are going back to Africa. A lot of our people in our minds are changing in Babylon. That's why we're not funding all these holidays. It ain't even no holy day. These holidays and Christmas, because they're making money off of our people. We are the highest consumer group, yet we're the lowest in socioeconomic status. We were created and brainwashed in the matrix of white Jesus to do that kind of madness, family. Y'all hear me? They created our mindset to be like that. We are just to spend every Friday, go out and get drunk, go out to the strip club, go to the club, you know, go get you the new J's and do all this madness. They got our people thinking like that while they're making money. You're the slave class. But as our people wake up by the power of the Most High Yah to our identity and our worth, that you are more than that. That you are more than just living for the weekend. That you are more than shooting your own people on the streets. That you are more than robbing and stealing and killing and drugging and thugging and thotting. We are more than what the nations have convinced us and what we have become. And as we learn this history, that's why we do what we do on Zion Dynasty. As we learn who we are, that you are kings, that you are queens, that you are not Negroes, spicks and spoons and cartoons, but you are actually Zebulun, Reuben, Naphtali, Issachar, Gad, Asher. That's who the Most High has called you. But the nations have called you by words and proverbs. So as our people wake up, we're changing. Our behavior is changing. We're starting to see our people in the streets and be like, man, look at that Israelite brother. Man, look at my brother. How you doing, brother? Shalom. We're starting to speak to one another. We're starting to come together, right? And that is a jeopardy to the white European power construct, which is why they're trying to keep them evil out of the land of Israel. Those using the land are placed there by the Jewish agency run by America. Now, I ain't even got into the Rothschilds that dominate most money today, that their net worth is estimated 500 trillion, but that conflicts with who they say is the richest people on earth. When you look at Jeff Bezos and these kind of guys, it's a hush-hush thing, family. And I did some videos on the Rothschilds, on the Jewish banking agencies that they set up in different countries. The central banking system of America is one of those. They print the money in America. So you got the Ish people controlling the wealth in America, and America pitting the Jews in the land of Israel. We got to know these different people. America being Babylon, the daughter of Babylon, the image of Edom, that holy city out of Esau's Nato European Union. America is that Babylonian last time system, end time system. While the Ish people are Amalek, Esau, Edom. Now, so we got Esau, Edom as those Ish people in the land. We understand America is Babylon, is those 10 toes on the statue of Daniel. Now, how does Russia and China come in? China and Japan are Moab and Ammon according to the scriptures. The Chinese government even has their most prized military bomb missile. I think it's like a nuclear device. They call it Moab, the mother of all bombs. You can't make this stuff up. Y'all Google it, right? So Moab is China today. Now, who is Russia? When you look at Gog and Magog in the scriptures, we begin to see them in Genesis chapter 10. Gog and Magog are located in Japheth's borders, North Europe. Japheth was given the European borders. Ham was given the Akebulan or Khemit, what we call African borders, and Shem was these Afro-Asiatics in between, a lot of which migrated from time to time throughout the continent of Africa, right? That Mediterranean region, they interacted with Africa heavily to that those Shemitic people look just like Hamitic people, right? So Japheth's borders would house Gog and Magog. Now understand, Gog and Magog, Gog is more of a title for the ruler of Magog. And when you get into the etymology of Magog, let me show y'all some literature, right? Let me give y'all some books for these. All right, Dr. Rudolph R. Windsor, y'all, he has a golden series, The Valley of the Dry Bones, as well as he has From Babylon to Timbuktu. If any Israelite, if you don't have this book, you have to get it. It's about $5 on Amazon. And Judea Trembles Under Rome, that goes into the Edomites infiltrating the land of Judea through Herod, through the Herodian dynasty, Pompey, Seleucus. It goes through a lot of that Macedonian Greco-Roman history and the Negro Israelites during the time of Yeshua, right? So y'all check out those books. But in his Valley of the Dry Bones book, it goes into the detail of what's going to spark World War III. And we're going to deal with it, family. I know I had to set this up, let you guys know that America is that end-time Babylon, led or leading the European Union, which are those 10 toes on the statue of Daniel, that last ruling people that will be in charge before Yeshua returns. They have an offshoot of their people in the so-called Middle East, which is Northeast Africa or Western Asia, where they are setting up their people in that land. They're setting up their other European buddies in that land. So they are inhabiting that land, which Yeshua prophesied in Luke chapter 21, that the Gentiles would have control of that land until Yeshua. So anybody in that land saying they're the people can't be the people, because Yeshua prophesied that Israel would have to get out of there. We see that in 70 CE or 70 AD, the Common Era, Otto Domine. During 70 CE, with General Vespasian and his son Titus, they kicked all them Israelites out of there and took the rest of them into slavery in Europe. During the time of the Moors, We see those Israelites raise up, conquer Europe. They're eventually pushed out, and in 1492 they're banished. But these Moors were actually Ephraimite. We've been through that history. Northern Kingdom Israelites of Morocco, and those that were in the Americas. Right now, a lot of y'all, let me go into that history a little bit. This is a historical lesson, family. Now, the Jews and Moors of Spain, Harvard Literature by Rabbi Joseph Kroskov. He talks about how the Christians were burning Negroes at the doors of the church. Now, Brother Benea did a great lesson on that recently, where he was talking about the clothes hanging from the church ceilings, I think. And he quoted, this is also a Harvard book by E.H. Lindo, that in this book, it talks about how they were burning these Negro Israelites during church services at the doors of the church if they were found out to be secret Israelites. So this war between the Moors and the Christian North was going on before they kicked our Moorish Israelite family out of there. Some of them were already in the Americas. That's where you get into the Neji or Nephi's descendants, Lehi's descendants that have already migrated and were operating in conjunction with the Moroccan government. Moors of America, Moors of Africa, they were Israelites, right? They were banished, and they end up finding them, the Christian North, and they carried away us into slavery as swift as the eagle flies, led by America, that's a hint at America, and Babylon, carrying us away into captivity to fulfill Deuteronomy 28:68. So I gave y'all that history to let you know this would all come from the north. But in the north, we run into Gog and Magog. Gog and Magog is Russia and the Prince of Russia. When you get into the Prince of Russia, some people say it's Putin and all this stuff. Putin's gonna be the one to end it. I'm not making that statement. We don't know how long this is gonna go on. The scripture says that wars and rumors of wars are gonna continue, family. They're gonna build up. I argue this is a cycle of the end times that's almost like if you had a circle and you don't know how they have the spiral, that as you spiral, it gets to the center point. That's what end time prophecy is like. I know that's a hard way to explain it, but basically this cycle is going to continue, and it's going to rapidly get faster and faster and faster and faster, and to the point of the full manifestation of all of this war is going to just hit like dominoes, right? So right now, first we heard about Russia going to war with America. Now we're hearing about China getting involved. Soon enough, Russia's going to make big moves. America's gonna make big moves, and China's gonna, and it's gonna accelerate over time, family, in the Valley of Decision, which is Jerusalem. That's why, family, I gotta tell y'all, there is a reason why our people are not in that land. Understand, Jerusalem, or Zion, Sion, was meant to be a cup of trembling for the nations, right? The Most High has his people tucked away by design. When we know it's time to go back, the Most High is going to do it in a way where there ain't going to be no discussion. I'm telling y'all, a lot of us been arguing about should we go ahead and go back to Africa and a lot of this, right? But we don't understand, when it's time to go, the Most High going to send them chariots. And in the nature of that, y'all check out some of the chariot videos. The Most High is going to send his angelic beings. Y'all look at the 144 lesson I did, where they're going to regather Israel from the four corners of the earth and take them back to the land. We see this in Mark chapter 13. We see this in Matthew chapter 24. We see this in Revelation chapter 7. We see this in Revelation chapter 14. Y'all better hear me. The Most High ain't going to let his son die in the wilderness. Where's your faith, O Zion? Stop freaking out. A lot of y'all been commenting and saying, JB, what's going on in the news? Yes, China is Moab, and Moab, or the East, according to Daniel's prophecy, is going to play a big hand in end time prophecy. Yes, Russia is the Prince of Roshi, or Gog and Magog, in end time prophecy, and Russia's going to have a big hand to play in end time prophecy. But Zion, do not lose heart and do not jump the gun. Trust the Most High. Now, let's go into more detail, y'all. Let me show y'all some of this literature. Now, we know that the Jewish people have a monopoly on that land today. A lot of them are Esau's descendants. The Most High wants them in that land. Now, y'all watch this now. The Most High, now we know about the Roman Empire. Y'all check this book out on Amazon, The Roman Empire of the Edomite. Now, I also have a baby book's name that I found out about the bishop. The bishop talked about this book, Classical Baby Names. It says that Esau is the founder of the Roman Empire in this as well. I've gone through Esau's son Zepho. Y'all check out those lessons. But basically, The Most High want that smoke. The Most High wants the other nations to try to go into that land. So when you look at Israelis' $5 trillion secret, it goes in. Now this is by Colonel Curtis B. Dahl. His first cousin was married to President Roosevelt. But it talks about, I know this is a lot, y'all. I know it's a lot. But basically it talks about the amount of money that America is giving them Ish people. The Most High wants them to keep that thing going, right? Now we already know through Shlomo saying that most of the so-called Ashkenazi Jews today are Germanic Turks. So these Turkish wandering Edomites, the Most High wants them to be in that land. We also know Arthur Koestler's 13th tribe. Now these are Ashkenazi Jews that are saying that those people are not tied to the biblical Israelites. Why are they in the land? The Most High's judgment. He's going to allow Zion or Israel, I lost focus, the Most High can allow Israel to be a cup of trembling that the nations are all going to try to go to. Russia's going to instigate this whole thing. Now let's go into this, what's been going on in the news. Now first it was the whole Russian thing with Putin. What's going on? The Ish people know judgment's about to hit. A lot of them are trying to reverse migrate to the Ukraine. Y'all see my lessons? Y'all check out Khazaria 2.0. They're trying to reverse migrate back to Russia, team up with Russia, because Russia's about to go into that Middle East. Y'all heard it from JB. Y'all read the scriptures. Y'all pray about these things, because this stuff, y'all pray and seek the Most High. Russia's plan is to get into the Middle East, family. Y'all watch this. Now, why? Now, Russia's whole argument during this whole Russian event that's been going on for the past year or so, family, is that Ukraine used to be a part of their USSR, or the ancient Soviet, so it was the greater part of Russia. A lot of these countries are splinter satellite countries now that are still communist, but they're not under Russia's dominion. Russia's trying to reclaim their borders everywhere. So Ukraine has been trying to file citizenship with NATO, which is Edom, which is America and the European Union. They're trying to come under Edom's protection, right? Russia is throwing their weight around because, as you guys may or might not know, Russia leads in almost every category militaristically. Now y'all can read some of this in Rudolph R. Windsor's book from Babylon to Timbuktu, or not from that book, but his The Valley of the Dry Bones. He goes into, even then, and this was in the 80s when he wrote that book, Russia's military, if they wanted to, they could end this stuff. Now watch this. Ukraine's trying to team up with NATO, gain that citizenship. I don't know where they are on that process, but that's been going on the last couple of months. China is also a communist country. Now, what would allow China to come into this whole beef that's going on? China's communist just like Russia. You would think they would team up, and they do share a lot of ideological grounds of how to rule government, this whole communist, which kind of comes from communal, like I am because we are, but it's not that. It's a little bit different, but they are run by their own people. Russia's run by Russians. China is Chinese people. So they have that kind of communal, communist kind of government of spreading out wealth and that kind of thing for their country. Now, I'm not saying that they fear the Most High. I'm just explaining what communism is in a brief summary, right? So they're both communist countries. This whole thing about China and America, this is what's going on. China is not simple, y'all. China's government and military is legendary, y'all. Their population is ridiculous, right? So their military is far greater or larger than America's. Now let's just deal with what's going on. What's going on? Russia is trying to get into the Middle East. The oil, Russia's trying to take over that whole southern block of those Arab countries all the way down to Egypt. Russia's trying to get in there, get that gold, and that kind of thing. They're using the Ukrainian incident as just, how should I say this? They're using the Ukrainian incident as a pretense to be able to get into the Middle East. China's watching that thing because China's also been trying to get into Northeast Africa and get into Africa. Now, I don't know how much news y'all been watching, but China's been interacting with Africa a lot lately. Chinese people have been creating business strongholds within Africa. The nations, to get into Israel, now Africa, that's the same entity, and it's the most fertile, rich country on the earth outside of the Americas. Now, that's a whole nother thing. So they're trying to get into Africa. China is, as well as Russia. Now, what makes things even worse is Uganda found a $12.8 trillion worth mountain of gold within Uganda. So Russia wants to get into the Middle East, get that oil, get the oil in Africa, get the gold. They want to get their hand into the pot, right? The Most High wants them to put their hand in the cookie jar so he can chop that thing off. China's watching that. When Russia makes a play in that land, we're going to see China get more and more involved militaristically. That's why China's been on alert lately. Now, Dr. Windsor maps this stuff out in detail. If y'all want me to do a prophetic study on the end times, the Eastern Bloc of China, the King of the North, the Prince of the North, Russia, Gog, Magog. If y'all want me to go into that eschatology, I can do a separate video. But briefly, I'm going to mention this. So he goes into great detail on it, how China's going to be watching this. Russia's going to eventually make a bold move to conquer the Middle East and to go into Africa and conquer Africa. Now, this gets into the Antichrist. Now, this stuff, I'm not saying Russia's the Antichrist. I'm just saying that we know before our people are restored and the Messiah returns and puts us back in our land, there's going to be a son of perdition that shows up. We are in the climate of that right now, family. Russia's trying to get into that Middle East, right? The Ukrainians are trying to get out of there. That's why, because they know what's going on, they're trying to go back and reverse migrate. We even see talks of the Jewish people trying to get into Uganda. That's a whole nother thing, but that's counterintuitive. But they want the gold as well. So the Most High is trying to draw all these nations into the Middle East. Now, America is over the Jewish embassy. So America is going to get involved because they are working with the Ish people. All of that is Edom, right? Now, we're going to see Rudolph Windsor talks about it as well. Edom is going to be spared to the very end. Now, I'm going to go into the timeline. Russia's going to come in. Now, watch this. America is going to team with them Ish people and NATO, and they're going to go to war against Russia. China's going to assist that thing. Now, this is just based on what Dr. Windsor is saying. Now, we don't know how exactly this stuff is going to happen, but let me just give y'all the prophetic timeline. Y'all check his book out. Basically, China's going to team up, and eventually China's going to go to war with America. So when you hear Israelites, I'm going to explain where they're getting this stuff from. A lot of this, there is a lot of prophetic studies that have been done on this, that Moab is going to be key in end time prophecy. Most scholars link Moab to China today. So how does China fit? Do I think China's just going to go to war with Esau, with America and Babylon? What I believe is they're going to team up against Russia because Russia is the prominent threat, and eventually NATO's going to go to war with China. We see this. Now, how does this make sense? Esau is going to be the last ruling empire. Esau, Edom is going to be the last one standing, family. When the Most High is judging these nations, he's going to knock off Gog, Magog, China, Moab. All these other nations are going to get judged first. He's going to save Esau for last. And Jacob is going to be the beginning of the next world to come. Now, let's go back to why does it operate? Why does the Most High operate like that? We see in the Bible that the Most High honors the birthright. That's why I've been teaching on Joseph so much, family. The Most High honors the seed of Abraham. He blesses the nations based on the hierarchy of the seed of Abraham and each role that the Most High has set up. Now, what do I mean by that? Israel is the cornerstone. Israel is the chief, the beloved, the apple of the Most High's eye. But understand, Esau is a descendant of Abraham. The Most High respects that thing. I know a lot of y'all are like, wait, what, JB? That's how Esau was able to infiltrate the land of Israel. The Most High honors that thing, right? They have a certain spiritual authority. They're not Israel. They're not Jacob, right? So they don't win in the end. The ultimate blessing is not on them. But the Most High has respect for Shem. We see this in the book of Jasher. We see this go on with Zepho. Zepho is very dominant in the Middle East and in the Mediterranean region when he goes up there. He prays to the Most High. He said, God of my father Abraham and my father Isaac. And the Most High honors Zepho's crime. So when we're dealing with Esau, y'all, they have a certain blessing. Not the blessing of our people, but this will help you understand how they're able to do what they're doing. Now, ultimately, the Most High is with Zion and with Israel, but there are levels to that thing, right? So, what we see going on, Russia's going to try to go in there. War's going to break out. Now, nobody knows the time on the hour. Right now, these are just speculations. I'm just giving you end-time eschatology based on most scholars, right? So, Russia's going to eventually try to make a move. China is going to assist against that. Even though they both have the same ideological framework, this is more about numbers, teaming up with he who has the advantage. They're going to team up with NATO to get rid of Russia and eventually try to turn on NATO. NATO right now is preparing their military, their socioeconomic status in the event that Russia goes ahead and busts this stuff loose. That's why I tell y'all, Zion, we need to come together and be in prayer like never before, because this stuff is getting to the nitty gritty. We're in the fourth quarter, Zion. Now, so all of this is going on to bring them into that land. The Most High want them in Africa. He want Russia, he want China, and he want NATO. He want Edom, Moab, Gog and Magog. He wants them in the valley of decision, the valley of Jehoshaphat that we see in Joel chapter 3. And there the Most High is going to plead with them. When we see that in Joel where he says, I'm going to plead with them for my people, this is with the edge of the sword, family. This is the Most High bringing down hail mingled with, the Bible says hail mingled with fire. What is that? This is like thermonuclear destruction. This is military missiles being fired. This is the way the prophets are describing it during their time. Ezra and Daniel say this hail mixed with a terrible tempest with fire, because they didn't have military nuclear arms during their time. But basically what's going on, family, is that these nations are going to start letting missiles loose, right? And the Most High is going to allow them, because of their greed, because of their wickedness, because of their haves and have-not system, because of what they've done to Zion, because of them feeding us to alligators, because of them gunning us down in the street, because of them refusing to give us reparations. The Most High, just like he brought Pharaoh to his demise on the very road he sought to conquer, the Most High allowed the calamity to overtake him. So is what's going on in that Middle East. The Most High is going to draw Moab, Ammon. He's going to draw all these nations, Gog, Magog. He's going to draw all these people, Edom, into that land. And the Most High is going, now watch this. They're going to be firing bombs and UFOs going to come through. Now y'all watch this now. Ooh, because the Most High going to creep in. Like man's going to be doing their thing, fighting each other, destroying each other. And other bombs going to be dropping. They're going to be like, what was that? The Most High gonna rain down a terrible tempest on all these nations in the Middle East. I'm telling y'all, we living in some dreadful times. And then the Most High is gonna regather Zion, pit us back in that land. Now the details of that, a lot of y'all have different theories on that, but just know the Most High is gonna get our people back to that land, and the remnant of the nations are gonna flock to Jacob and be like, we just wanna be a part. Just help us, just spare us. We just want to be here. We want to serve your God. And our people are going to rule the earth in peace and brotherly love. And I am, because we are. And if Big Mama had Kool-Aid and Aunt Sally had sugar, the whole village going to drink a glass. That's the heart that the Most High wants our people to have. And until we fully turn back to that way of thinking and loving one another and coming together with one another, we are holding back those horses, those chariots on high, and the nations. Right now it's just at a rumor state, family. But the more our people come together, the more we love one another, the more we encourage one another, the more we lead by example, the more we create communities of Israelites coming together. That needs to be the mindset, Zion. We need to think about coming together, sharing our own resources, living off the land. That is the move, family, in preparation for when the Most High uses us in the kingdom and raises us up when Yeshua returns to be an example to all nations, right? That's the spirit we need to have. So I hope y'all got something out of that. I wanted to show that clip by the Palestinian elder that was talking about those Ukrainians trying to get out of the land, right? Khazaria 2.0, they think they can escape the judgment, but the Most High is going to bring them back down. This is why he's going to start showing forth the riches of Africa, like in Uganda, because he's going to keep their greed in that land. You ain't going to escape that work, right? So that's what's going on right now. Now, I also want to show y'all, if y'all don't have this book, The Creature by Jekyll Island. This is the birth of the Federal Reserve, which is owned by the Ashkenazi Jews. I've done lessons on that. Y'all check those out. But basically, the greed of Edom is going to get them killed, y'all. Every Federal Reserve that's established in the earth, the central banking, comes from those Rothschilds, comes from those Ashkenazi Jews. Excuse me. They have a monopoly on the wealth of the world right now, family. They are the most wealthiest family by far, right? Now, a lot of people say, where's a lot of them? So they're kind of divided up, you know. They just want to downplay the amount of influence that they have. Now, why do I bring up their wealth? Why do I bring up Esau? Esau is funding all of this stuff, family. And their greed is what the Most High is going to use to pull that arrow out like Joseph and judge Edom because of what they've done to Israel, what they've done to Zion. Now, also, I want to show you guys something. There's a book, Who is Esau Edom, by Charles Wiseman. I know this is a lot of books I'm showing y'all. A lot of our people say, you know, Esau ain't the white man, Esau ain't Europeans. Let me break that down for y'all. The scripture says that Esau is the end of the world and Jacob is the beginning of it that follows. The last ruling people, that last government that's going to be the land of the shining sea, the last ruling people by Bible definition would be Esau. So if America and NATO and Europe are the last superpower ruling before Armageddon, that would by prophetic implications make them Esau. Now, do I say all white people are Edomites? Absolutely not. That's where y'all got to get who is Esau Edom. Esau has mixed his seed a lot of different places. Now, I want to do a video on this and I plan on doing it. A video dealing with Geno Jennings talking about unity and why he didn't want to sit down with the camps. It almost made me listen to what he was saying, family. Esau is cunning. A lot of Esau has infiltrated some of these movements. Now, I'm not accusing no camp or nobody in particular, but this is what Geno Jennings was saying about his hesitancy with sitting down with them. He fears that whenever you see a pro-black group going on, you see white folks hiding behind the scenes. This gets into Cointelpro. This gets into Fred Hampton. This gets into Marcus Garvey and Dr. King and Malcolm X. Whenever you see these groups rise up, you see Esau pick out some secret Negro that has an Edomite mindset to go in and jeopardize y'all's people coming together. Why do I bring that up? Esau is not just the color of people. It's not just those European, Turkish, Germanic people, right? Amalek are the Europeans that are an extension of Rome. It's not just them, family. It's some of our own people. And I hate to say that, family, but I've been encountering that more and more lately. I've been trying to unite. I've been trying to love our people, tell our people we need to have a sit down. All of our different leaders, even from Dane Calloway, when you talk about Big Judah, when you talk about all of the elders, Teo, Pastor Kelly, the bishop, them, the camps, IUIC, ISUPK, we all need to sit down, Watchmen reports, just bring all of Israel, Divine Prospect, to sit down and have a conversation. Now, some of our people don't want to do that, and let me show y'all why. Our people fear that it might be an Edomite infiltrator in that thing trying to report back to Esau. Now, that's where this stuff gets very complicated. You got to try the fruit. You got to know the tree by the fruit that it bears, right? When you have some of our people that don't want to do some of this stuff, that don't want to have a conversation, right? Or are just bashing one another, and that's it. That's why we got to love one another. And we all fall short and make mistakes. I ain't casting no accusation on nobody. I'm just telling y'all, this stuff gets deep. Because Esau is not just white folks. It's some black folks that don't care about their own folks. I had to make it easy for y'all. It's some Israelites that still have that, oh, you gonna let me write a blank check? Oh, I can write a blank check. And then the FBI surveillance is like, yeah, just tell us how much you want. Just make sure that this joker's teaching doesn't get out. Make sure that you slander this person's reputation. Yeah, just do that, and you can write however amount you want to. I'm telling y'all, it's not just white folks that are the greatest enemy to Black Wall Street 2.0, or i.e. the kingdom. It's not just white people, it's our own people. That's why I argue, and some of y'all that said, well, JB, you can't make them sit down. You can't make it, and I understand it, family. And I want to get on here and apologize for going so hard, doing public posts and saying they don't want to sit down. Y'all, we got to come together. Because you can't make it happen that way. You can't. And y'all, I just ask for forgiveness for that. And I just got to keep teaching and move forward from that. But we can't make everybody do it, right? The ones of us that want to sit down and love one another as a family and have a conversation, you let them do it, right? And the others that don't want to do it, you just got to let the Most High handle that thing. But I argue us sitting down and having a conversation is the only way when we make sure what all of us are on the same accord and what piece you're bringing to the pot and what piece you're bringing, what ingredient you bringing to the gumbo, what ingredient you bringing, and let's create the narrative of who we are as a community based on the scriptures, based on the DNA, the evidence, the archaeology, but the Judeo scriptures being our foundation, and not just the ones they gave us, but also the 1611 Apocrypha text. Also, I know a lot of y'all don't like the Book of Mormon because y'all bash Mormonism. Yeah, Mormonism, them white folks with their white supremacy. I'm talking about the book. Have y'all read these scriptures? Most of y'all, I know you have not. There's scriptures in there about America would try to rule in the land of promise, and the children of Israel would serve in that land and be under this corporation that would create all these denominations to divide the people and keep their understanding from the true and the living God. All of that is in the sealed portion. The Book of Mormon, Nephi's writings, you see a lot of that. That don't belong to Europeans. That don't belong to Esau. They took our records, just like they took the Bible, and we found out Christianity is the devil, but the scriptures belong to the Most High, right? Mormonism and these denominations, demons, divisions, denominations, belongs to Satan, but the books, the records, is our history, family, for us to learn the full extent of what we've gone through as a people. And when we see that the Most High prophesied it in detail, when we see the love that he has for us, when we see the extent that he went through to warn us of this, when we see the faithfulness of him to remember us, that we come together as a community, as a family, and we show the nations what that looks like. Love and coming together is the antidote, is the remedy for all this hatred, capitalism, this war that's going on. The Bible prophesies in Isaiah 11, family, that the Most High is going to cause them to throw their swords into plowing shirts, that you're not going to destroy anymore, but you're going to build. You're not going to try to create weapons of mass destruction, but you're going to use that money to create public eating areas, public libraries. This is what our ancestors, the Moors, did, family. They invested in education. They invested in public institutions for everybody to have what they need. They didn't invest on keeping people divided based on their own greed. They didn't invest in capitalistic racial constructs to keep people divided. They invested on making sure that no baby goes to sleep without food. Y'all better hear me. That's the type of culture and system and city that is Zion, that spiritual city that first starts in our hearts and minds, that we need to strive for. And if I'm guilty of anything, it's me going too hard. And I know my youth can betray me, and sometimes I do a little bit too much, and I apologize for that. But the heart of Zion Dynasty is that the majority of us is here, let's unify, let's come together. That's why I've been going hard for Joseph, because that's 10 tribes. If we can get Joseph united, that's 10 of the tribes. We just need Judah, boom, right? And that's the purpose of what I've been doing, going into those lost tribes, going into the Yorubas oral tradition, the Igbo, y'all already know, right? We gotta come together, Zion. The end is near. Nobody knows the time of the hour, but the nations are getting ready. Russia's getting ready to buck, China's getting ready to buck, right? So a lot of these Israelites that you've been hearing at, there's a lot of truth to what they're saying. We're living in the last days in Zion. We got to come together and love each other till it hurts, right? And to all of us that strive for the commandments, don't beat yourself up when you fall short. Hear me, I got to deal with that. Don't beat yourself up, family. The race ain't given to the swift nor the strong. You fall short, you pick yourself up and you keep going. And don't allow nobody, don't allow me or anybody else to condemn you when you do fall short, but you keep going. All of this is about love and family and coming together, family. We got to do it. We have to love till it hurts. Big Mama loved us despite ourselves, right? Family, you can't do away with family because we all we got. You can't change your blood lineage connected to this person. That's why we talk about E1B1A, because that is an indictment against our people to love one another. We got to do it. And so Zion, keep pressing, keep trying, stay in the spirit, stay prayed up. We're living in the last days, family. We got to come together more now than ever to those that are willing to do it, right? So I love you all with the love of the Messiah. Peace, love, blessings, and Israelite power to the 12 tribes scattered to the four corners. I love you all from the bottom of my heart. Y'all be blessed. Shalom. All praises.